Hey, it's Brennan from Comic Con. We are here with Anton and with Erik again today. We're talking about another Peanuts episode because Halloween is coming up. So we had to do It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And we watch this every year in my house. I don't know when the last time one of you guys has watched it. I think Erik said something like, what, like 25 years ago, you said in pre
At
interview?
least 25 years, probably, possibly 30.
So this is going to be a fun one. I think that there's going to be a lot of.
I mean, I'll be honest. I think the last time I saw it, I was in a Suncoast Motion Picture Company store,
Suncoast.
looking at Doctor Who VHSs.
Wait, I feel like you said that again for another episode.
Oh
We
no,
were
that was a
doing
different
something.
thing, though. Yeah, no,
That's
that
when he
was
was with
different
his mom watching the Christmas episode
Watching the
in
Christmas
Good
thing,
Grief
right?
episode 2.
But,
yeah.
but here's the thing:
Yeah.
is that Suncoast loved to play the seasonal Charlie Browns. So I think the last time I watched even a portion of it was at that Suncoast.
Gotcha. It's funny. I have funny memories of Suncoast too, but it was about before pay-per-view was readily available for just like $10 and you could just buy it. It was like $60 and my family could never get it. So we would go 3 weeks later to the mall at Suncoast and I would buy the discs of, and they would charge, $30 or something like that, but it's still half of the price of the pay-per-view. But that you get it home, you'd watch it once and then it'd go in a box and you'd never see it again. But that's why I was at Suncoast, is because they would have those WWF and WCW pay-per-views 3 weeks after the event ready to go to purchase. So Anton, when's the last time you saw this one?
So I feel like I've watched this one more recently only because like I get into arguments with people about how Linus is a warlock and is using his Eldritch Magicus to call upon the Great Pumpkin, which is clearly his patron. So I feel like I've put it on, if not just to show the scenes where the Great Pumpkin what rises. So probably within the last 2 or 3 years, I think I've seen it. Now, does that mean I remember anything about it? No, actually. I was kind of
because you're just
really
going to
excited
those specific scenes.
Right. Well, I was really excited to hang out with you guys today. So I was like, oh man, like what do I remember about this episode? Nothing. What? Like I know this is what I've seen the most. It's just like there's no memory is a weird thing. I just don't have it. I think I'm assuming like Shredder is going to play the piano at some point, and like Charlie Brown is going to be bummed out by something, and Linus is going to have a really cool message about the reason for the season, and we'll get the typical Schultzian like hallmarks. But I really honestly don't remember the beats on this one like I do some of the other ones, which is crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, no, my only abiding memory is Lucy and Linus in a pumpkin patch, and that's it.
Lucy and Linus. See, okay.
That's it, Lucy. So I'm sorry, Sally. I'm sorry, Sally.
Sally.
And
right.
Sally and Linus.
One of the things that I know about this episode is that they do, by this point in the specials, they had come out with like a formula. So you have the holiday thing, and that's one through line, but then there's other through lines that have like there's the romantic angle between the Sweet Babu and Sally and things like that going on. But one of the things that I know that they tie into this one is also the Red Baron, which is super bizarre. There's a segment where Snoopy is on top of his Sopwith camel. I know that this was the genesis of one of my favorite lines in all time of Peanuts, and that's "I got a rock," where everybody's like super excited about everything that's going on around them, and one person's like, "I got a rock." They got to be the downer. They got to be the one that's bringing it down. Or instead of like being part of what's going on, they're pointing out the things that are wrong with whatever. And we bring that up a bunch. And Dev, my youngest, one year for the Halloween thing at their school, dressed up as Charlie Brown, who got too wild with the scissors and made too many eye holes on his ghost. And we were looking at that picture the other day, and Devlin was like, "I remember dressing up like that." He goes, "But I don't remember why there's so many holes in the sheet." So while he remembers where it's from and what it's from, he doesn't know why. And it's because Charlie Brown is so clumsy that he cuts way too many holes in it. I said in pre-interview with Erik, I said, you know what? I think that this one, more than some of the others, is going to have a lot more stuff in it than you guys remember, because there are way too many loose threads in this one. It's one of the sloppier ones, but you remember the good parts. And we've talked about that before, where that nostalgia brings you back to the parts that make sense, and the parts that are just absolutely batshit, you just totally forget about. And when we watch this in a few minutes, because we're doing doing this one today. We're doing the pre, where we haven't watched it in a while. Then we're going to watch it, and then we're going to get back together almost immediately and talk about it today within the next couple hours. I think you guys are going to see a lot of things, and that you're going to be like, oh yeah, that's right, but that you're not remembering now, and you're not going to remember until you watch.
It's really weird because like now listening to you talk about pieces of it, it's like it's that thing that I don't know if this happens to everybody. I hope it does. It's that thing that happens to you where you're like, you hear a song and you don't remember the song or the words of the song, but you hear it, it starts playing, and then you're just like, I know all the words of this song. Like, I remember this song and like where I was when the song was playing. Like, as Brendan, as you were talking about it, like in my head, is this the one that's like Waiting for Godot, where it's like, does the Great Pumpkin show up in this one?
No.
Because isn't there one where the Great Pumpkin shows up and then there's one where he doesn't?
Possibly.
I'm not gonna say.
I might be conflating.
I'm fairly. Yeah, we're gonna let Brendan smile while we try to hash this out. But
yeah, because like now in my head I'm like, there's one where you see the Great Pumpkin, and then there's one where
this is the one where the Great Pumpkin does not show up.
Because it's like, well, it's the rocks thing, right? Where you're like, oh, I got a rock, because that's Chuck who says that. So like, and that's what triggered the rest of the episode for me, because I think it's the one where he gets carried to bed, right? Like, don't they carry Linus to bed because he didn't see the Great Pumpkin, and then it's a whole thing where it's like, oh, but like maybe you'll see he'll come next year. Like, you just gotta believe. It's all about faith, and pumpkins are faith, right? Like I could be totally ranting and raving in like an hour. We just like, oh, never mind, I'm crazy and I was wrong. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, maybe this isn't the one where oh man. See, now we have to go watch it. Dang it.
Right. Also, Sweet Babu is his warlock name, right?
Sweet Babu.
What's that?
Yeah, that's clearly
Sweet Babu is his warlock name.
Yeah, that's Schroeder's warlock name. It's gotta be. Man.
Linus's.
Yeah, sorry.
Linus.
Schroeder's Schroeder's the little piano nerd. He's the music nerd, and then you've got the pumpkin nerd,
right? And he's the one that's playing, because they're bobbing for apples while he's playing piano. I think it's like.
Okay. So let's do this. Since Brendan's already said that Charlie Brown is in the ghost costume, because I was going to mention, I don't even remember what costumes people are wearing.
Okay. Yeah, wait. The costumes, right.
So let's guess at who's wearing what.
Lucy Van Pelt is wearing one of those strap-on green witch masks.
Okay. That's the only give, right? You gave us Lucy. So the rest, let's just play Schroeder's Beethoven. That's going to be easy.
Yeah, it's a given.
Let's see. Linus ultimately no costume because he's already a warlock.
Peppermint Patty or maybe Mummy.
Peppermint Patty might be the Mummy. Yeah.
Sally Brown.
Sally Brown. Oh boy.
This is a huge plot point.
Scheherazade.
That was good.
I mean, they may not say Scheherazade by name, but you know, the veils and the sort of belly dancer outfit, like that's generic enough, because that's the thing, is we're in an era where the Halloween costumes are very generic. No one's dressing up as Iron Man. So
they were the vacuum formed masks that have the string on them. Yeah.
The Ben Sherman? Is it Ben Sherman? Not Nat Sherman. Nat Sherman's the long stem cigarette. Ben Sherman, I think, is the costume company that made those very simple masks. I could be wrong.
I don't know, man. I think we're about the same age, but you act a lot older than me sometimes. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about right there.
Ben Sherman was, if I'm correct, Ben Sherman is the name of the costume company that was the kind of cheap mask and the weird like smock that was the costume.
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So it was between the era, and I'm joking because I do remember this, but it was between the era that like everybody made their own stuff, which were rad costumes. If you look at your parents like yearbooks and you see the Halloween stuff, they were making some really dope outfits. But then they went to this like plastics were a big thing, and so they made the vacuum form mask, and then it was like a smock that you wore that was the whole rest of the outfit. So it would be a Frankenstein cheap plastic thing with the elastic on the back, and then there would be a smock that had
Yeah.
And they put the logos, massive logos across the front that like said exactly what it's from. So 6 kids on the block would be wearing the exact same thing because that's what you got at the Alpha Beta or the TG&Y.
Oh, not nice call on the Alpha Beta. That's nostalgic right there.
Well, TG&Y also, I don't think. Well, is TG&Y an East Coast thing? Did you guys ever have those out there, Anton? It was like a sundry store where you went and it was like they had like tools right next to candy, right next to whatever. It was kind of like Kmart before Kmart, but they all went out of business in like
we had something
1991.
called Roses. We had like a Roses. Yeah, we never. I don't even know what an Alpha Beta is because I'm not on Twitter anymore, so I don't really know.
Alpha Beta is it's a cake song is what Alpha Beta is. No.
Oh, nice.
Alpha Beta was purchased by Lucky, and then Lucky was purchased by Safeway or somebody. But Alpha Beta was one of the grocery stores. Maybe you guys didn't have them out there, but we had them all over California. So
Charlie Brown is Ghost.
Franklin.
Franklin is the Invisible Man.
So the Invisible Man, I'm gonna key off on that for just 1 second. The B side of this one, because remember we talked about they did the main special, and then if the main special like got traction, they would make a second one that was not as good. It was like the sequel or whatever that they would show the following year. So they do the, it's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, and then the second one for this one that they showed right after it was called It's Magic Charlie Brown. And one of the plot points in that one is so Lucy always does the football gag, right? So one of the bits in this one is that Snoopy finds a magic book and learns how to do simple magic, but he's on stage and everything goes wrong. And then he's trying to show Charlie Brown that he really can do magic and turns Charlie Brown invisible. So then Lucy's out there and she's talking to her football in the middle of a field for no damn reason. And Charlie Brown is invisible. And he takes this one opportunity while he's invisible to run up and kick the shit out of that football. And then later, when everything's resolving and Snoopy has figured out how to make him visible again, he's turning visible in stages. So his head is visible. And Lucy sees his head running across the field because he's going to kick the football again. So she sees the head and then the arms pumping. And then you see the shoes come out. And then he goes to kick the football and she goes, yoink. And he goes and he flies. And she's like, I can see you. Yeah, anyway. So that's a huge like thing in the second one, and that is the best thing about the sequel to this one is that Charlie Brown gets to kick the football, but nobody knows it because he's invisible.
Okay, so Anton is also saying Franklin is the cowboy. That's
Franklin is a cowboy.
Like somebody's like Glinda the Good Witch or like an angel or a fairy. I feel like there's like it's gotta be Glinda. Right.
Sally has to be Glinda.
It's like pink, and this is because like I feel like one of the companies did vinyl figures for the Halloween costumes, so I could just be misremembering or just remembering what the vinyl figures of the costumes look like.
I think
like, that's what's in my head.
Right?
Was it Super 7? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Marcy.
So we know Lucy's the witch.
Lucy is the witch. I know that one.
Lucy's the witch, right? So Marcy can't be.
And I know Charlie Brown is the ghost with too many holes.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think that Sweet Babu, I don't think he puts anything on. I think he goes out to the pumpkin patch just in his regular street clothes.
Yeah, that's my memory of Linus not being in costume.
I don't know what Franklin dressed up as, but I think he would make an excellent cowboy. I think that'd be a really good call. And if it ends up being that, I'm gonna give you major props for calling that one out, Anton, because I don't remember it.
I feel in my head it's like a red chaps and like a tan hat. Like that's what I'm seeing, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Anton's got Franklin celebrating at the leather bar for Halloween.
Well, no, the cowboy pants or whatever they're called. I thought they were called chaps.
Chaps is right. No, chaps is right. That's part of the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but red chaps. Just it evokes a certain image, and I was just thinking. Yeah. Anyway.
It's the Pink Pony Club, man. It's all good. It's all good.
And gosh, Marcy is
Frankenstein's monster.
I feel like somebody did dress as Frankenstein. Is that?
No, don't tell us though. Don't tell us who it is, even if you look it up. But that feels in place.
No
Someone
idea.
is definitely Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
That does track.
Yeah.
I know what what Sally dresses as, and I know what Linus dresses as. I know those two. I know Charlie Brown. I know Lucy Van Pelt. The other, secondary characters, I'm not certain on.
All right.
Oh, I do. Okay. We'll talk about it after, but I just
Right.
remembered something.
So,
Yeah.
so for the
Okay.
moment, we're saying Mercy is Frankenstein's monster. Let's see. Pigpen, St. Thomas Aquinas.
Right. It's got to be. Right. So
Okay.
Pigpen would be the best play for the Invisible Man. Like if somebody was gonna be the Invisible Man, it would be Pigpen. That would be a great play for that.
It would be great if he was invisible and you just saw the cloud of dust going, and you're like, oh, well,
Exactly.
there's Pigpen.
Right? Yeah. Well, it's also the easiest way for them to be like, it's Pigpen because they put glasses and like the wrappings on him, and you'd still see all the gross around him. So like that would be a good play too.
Pigpen doesn't wear glasses.
No, if he was the Invisible Man, if he was dressed up as the Invisible Man.
Oh, right. Then he would have that's right. Up for the model, he would have the glasses. Yeah. Okay.
I think I do remember Pigpen's outfit, and if I recall correctly, he was also a ghost, but his sheet was filthy.
Oh, nice.
So like that's how you distinguish. Brown had all the holes, and Pigpen was just a disgusting sheet, like one that you find at an abandoned house or something.
On the edge of town.
I love it.
Right. So what characters? I'm just going to look up real quick the list of characters because I'm not thinking of Charlie Brown characters. Let's see if there's any more that are major characters that we can try to pin a costume on. Now we got Franklin. We got, well, that kid doesn't have a name. We see him in a bunch of stuff. Did we say Schroeder?
I just went with Beethoven.
Yeah, he was
Schroeder.
Beethoven. Yeah.
Okay.
Woodstock.
Pigpen, Marcy,
Woodstock
Linus.
is the Pope.
Woodstock is the Pope. Okay. Yeah.
Woodstock is the Pope.
Well, I mean, there's always
a big hat.
There's always been that thing.
No, wait.
There's always been that thing where if a bird poops on you, it's good luck, right? So it's like the holy water. It's the, I mean, it tracks. It's a very symbolic sort of, holy water bird shit. It works.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Right.
It's cool.
I guess. Yeah. Okay, I'm transferring Frankenstein's monster from Marcy to Schroeder.
Ooh. Okay. All right. I don't know that you want to do that.
Really? Because I'm just going with, I have a memory now of his purple shirt matching with the Frankenstein mask. So.
Oh.
Okay.
But I could very easily be wrong.
Okay.
Which means we need to give Lucy something. Betty Friedan.
Oh, I can't wait till we come back to this. I can't wait. Because I do know what Lucy did, but I don't want to spoil it for you guys, so I'm not going to. It is a major plot point about Lucy's costume. Okay. It is just one of the biggest things. And when you get to the end of the film, it is like, you talked about Linus's religious, monologues that he does. This one, I don't think is so religious, but it is one of those things where like Linus has the moral of the story and he goes on a big, diatribe about what's going on. And it is a massive plot point in Linus's diatribe in this one.
Okay.
What is she like? Mephistopheles?
No, I was going to say it's an impassioned plea to worship the elder gods.
Right, yeah, that's it. That's 100%.
Okay. All right, so we've got our guesses for what they are. We've talked about the plot points that we remember. Do you want to talk about any of the little like side hanging threads, or do you guys remember any of those? Because there are some things in this that do not make any sense to the rest of the story that they added in just because it's one of the specials. It's one of the things that they do every time. It is a hallmark of these specials. Like I said, with the Red Baron. There's a couple of other things that happen in this one too. Do you guys want to take a shot at any of those, or do you just want to talk about how crazy they are after?
I think maybe not take a shot at those unless you can remember anything distinctly. But I think for me, like what's interesting every time we do these, some of them I have such like firm memories of, right? And going into this, I was like, wow, I kind of remember things about it. Like I'm really excited about it. And then we start talking about it. I'm like, oh, maybe I don't remember anything about it. Maybe they're just such an ingrained part of like pop culture and like the frenetic lore that is pop culture that like you just sort of remember the vibes, right? It's like, what is the spirit of Charlie Brown, and what is the spirit of the Great Pumpkin and these characters? And it's like, because sitting here, I'm like, because in my head, I'm like, are there two witches? Because I'm trying to conjure these old images in my mind, and I'm like, are there two witches? Like, there's like, because there's like a darker green face, and then there's like angles, but I could just be conflating that with like
Okay.
Nightmare Before Christmas or some other like
Okay.
cartoon.
So
I don't know.
this is a little
Go ahead.
spoilery, but it's not big spoilery. There are two masks that look very similar, and they are supposed to be two wildly different characters.
Cool.
All right, there we go. All
Because
right,
like,
that's it. Also,
yeah.
is this the one with Omaha Beach?
No, that's the follow-up to the French
Yeah,
one.
I know. Until we watch that
One
one,
of the things there's a point
Omaha
there's a
Beach.
point that I did want to make though, and I didn't want to interrupt Anton though, is that the nostalgia of these characters or whatever. That's one of the things that I really appreciated about the new three-dimensional computer generated film that came out, is that while they updated a lot of the themes to fit today's narrative, to fit to make it fit with what people are watching and the entertainment that we're consuming these days or whatever, they very much kept that nostalgic vibe. They kept the things that people remember warmly about these older films and things like that, and took out a bunch of the stuff that just didn't make any sense. And so I feel like it was very authentic, but it was also very smart the way that they did it. I really enjoyed the new film for that.
I don't know that I've seen the new
No,
3D
but
one
we'll
yet,
absolutely be
so
watching it for this show at some point. So,
All right, guys. So we talked about it. We have our predictions. We're all going to go away. We're going to watch the special, and then we're going to get back together. We're going to film a second half of this one. I'm going to change my shirt because I put out a special shirt for the second episode of this one. So it is the same day. It's really only like 90 minutes after this that we're going to get back together. So we are going to do the fancy fade, and we're going to come back, and we're going to have some insights into what we just watched.
So Franklin was the Invisible Man.
Valid. Very good. Very good.
Right. He was indeed. No, I don't think I realized that Franklin is missing from this one. He's not in it.
Well,
this was made in 1966.
Yeah, it's so weird how these earlier specials aren't quite the fully formed Peanuts. Like Patty is also the Invisible Man. She's not here, even though she's referenced. She's not here.
She's in it. Patty is the
okay.
So
she's the ghost with the raccoon hat, isn't she?
No, that's okay. So here are the costumes. Okay, so Charlie Brown is the hundred-eyed ghost.
Right.
Okay.
Linus doesn't dress up at all. He goes out to the pumpkin patch. Sally Brown starts out as a generic ghost, and then when she goes to join Linus at the pumpkin patch, she takes off her costume. She's shedding the traditional to go with this new religion. Lucy is the traditional witch with the big nose. Violet is a generic ghost. Pigpen is the dirty ghost. Schroeder is the ghost with the Davy Crockett hat.
Okay.
And then Peppermint Patty is, and this is the one that's kind of weird for me because I think it's supposed to be a ghost, or it's supposed to be a witch, but it has a very Frankenstein look about it. So it's kind of like a Frankenstein witch. But I think that she and Lucy Van Pelt are both supposed to be witches, just different masks. And interesting, we talked about masks in the first one, and you were right about Ben Cooper. So making those vacuform masks at the time were Ben Cooper, College Villain, Halco. But then there was another company that was coming out at the time, and they were called Topstone. Now, I know you remember these because they sucked, but they were the rubber mask that only had that little slit in the back. So if you had a big head like me, you had to yank them on. It hurt. It bunched up your ears. You couldn't hear anything. You couldn't see anything. You could barely breathe, and they smelled just like raw rubber inside. So I think that Peppermint Patty might have been intended to be wearing a Topstone mask while everyone else was wearing a Ben Cooper or a Halco. But they may have been both versions of a witch.
Although I'll argue from the way that it's caricaturized, it also resembles Svengoolie.
Yeah,
very much so. Yeah,
kind of a generic ghoul mask, almost, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah. Which makes sense because those pullover masks were definitely. I remember like Spencer's Gifts back in the day, which was across the way from the Suncoast Motion Picture Company. But that when it was Halloween time, they'd have those generic ghoul masks and that Tor Johnson mask that they had since the mid-50s.
And they were upstairs from the KB Toys.
No, at my mall, the KB Toys was upstairs.
Oh, they had it upstairs. See, now at my mall, they had them all downstairs.
Yeah.
Because strollers don't go up the escalator, so they had the KB Toys on the bottom floor at every mall in Santa Rosa.
That's very clever. Okay, so let me think. Montebello Mall, the KB was at the bottom. Or no, I'm sorry, at the top, on the second floor. At the Arcadia Mall, it was second floor. But at the Eagle Rock Mall, it was on the first floor. So that tracks.
And a lot of malls, it was like right outdoors, the Sears too. So you take the kids in and you make them do all the fittings for their jeans and stuff, and then on the way out, you get a treat at the KB.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
That's how
So
it goes.
the cold open in this one too, I totally forgot about, and I've watched this recently. I watched this in the last few months. I totally forgot about the cold open, and that's just such a great line. It's like, you didn't tell me you were gonna kill it. Wah! You know, it's like.
Well, also Lucy with a knife is the most horrifying thing I've ever seen in one of these
Right,
things.
and she comes in like Michael Myers holding that thing, and then she flips it upside down and just yunk. She's practiced that move a few times, I think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think what astounded me by it is like there's so much that I vividly remember that is got to be conflated from other media or like maybe a Charlie Brown cartoon series or something, where I'm like, there's so much that's in there that I'm like, but when did this happen? Isn't this supposed to happen now? Like I know what the Great Pumpkin looks like, but it's not there. So why do I know what the Great Pumpkin looks like? It was very surreal for me.
Well, I think the Mandela effect plays into a lot of it. But I'm looking up right now. Does the Great Pumpkin ever appear? Because I do recall seeing the Great Pumpkin also.
Right, he kind of looks like the pumpkin-headed character on the real Ghostbusters, if I remember correctly.
Yes, or the thing from Over the
resembles that. Yeah.
The Great Pumpkin never appears.
So it is just the character from the real Ghostbusters. That's what it is.
It's the Mandela effect. We've all got it because I remember seeing it at some point too. Now I know, okay. And I said that there was a thread line that went through that didn't really go anywhere with the Red Baron. And then actually on rewatch, I now remember that they needed Snoopy to be off doing his own thing so that he could be the oblivious character showing up as the stand-in for the Great Pumpkin toward the end of the film. So I get it now why they did the thing, but it's also one of those things where they kind of shoehorned in that World War. And I wonder if they did that for the parents and the grandparents because everybody was so, you know, the greatest generation, because this was in 1966. So those people are the parents and the grandparents of this generation that's growing up watching this. So I wonder if it's one of those things where they're trying to pull in the adults as their kids are watching the show.
When was this? When did you say this came out?
66.
66. So this would have been the same year that they did that Red Baron song then. The dirty. I can't do the whole thing because we'll get.
No, I want you to continue. I'm enjoying this.
There's a Red Baron song.
Yeah, it's like the bloody Red Baron. Do shoop shoobity shoo bop but deepity do shop dobbity do bop boopity do 10, 30, 40, 50, 50 no more. The bloody Red Baron can evil and then Snoopy comes in the song and they fight. And then they call back to it in a Christmas song where it's like Christmas bells, oh Christmas bell. Like there's a whole thing that plays.
Snoopy versus the Red Baron by the Royal Guardsmen, 1967.
There you go. And then there's another Red Baron song that I think came out before it. That's like, I don't know if it's a spiritual successor, but I've heard it because there was a jukebox at a pizza place we used to hang out at that had really random songs on it, and that was like two of the songs that were on the jukebox. So that's how I know that I've heard them. So either they only existed in the microcosm of this pizza place, or there's a song from '66 that's like about the Red Baron, and it's like a folk song or something.
I just watched the video. The video is bonkers. It's absolutely nuts. But I just listened to it, and his little hummy thing just now is pretty accurate to what this song actually sounds like.
There you go. Like legitimately, it's a thing.
It is a thing. It's Snoopy versus the Red Baron, the Royal Guardsmen, 1967, and Charles Schultz, or the company that makes some of these specials, definitely did the animation for this because it's 100% in line. It tracks with the animation from the films. They even do the weird little, like, you know how he's flying over and he's going over all these different sites and things when he's in the different videos and things.
Monuments and stuff. Yeah.
It's 100% what Anton just described. And I got to tell you, man, I was ready to just bust your balls all day long about that. But dude, you just nailed it. So I got nothing to say.
Man. It was in a pizza place. That's the only reason I know, because we listened to it a bunch because we thought it was funny to play like the weirdest stuff we could. There's a song called "Let Me See You Squirrel," like the squirrels that climb up and down trees. That was also one of those
I know what a squirrel is. Thank you.
I just to make sure that the word came out correctly, but like, yeah, it's called "Let Me See You Squirrel," and it was another like, what is this song? This jukebox had the weirdest crap on it, and it was one of the ones
That
you
sounds
put a quarter in, and you could like turn with the little like dial.
right.
You
Oh, yeah,
flip
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the football gag does show up in this one too. And the football gag. Now I'm wondering too if in 1966 was kind of the beginning of a very litigious society in the United States, because it's the whole thing of like the loophole in this one was like, funny thing about this document, it doesn't appear to be notarized, and it's just like, I wonder how many people related to that, where like they've gone to the courthouse and they thought they had everything in a row, and then they get before a judge, and the judge is like, well, you didn't get proper service on this, and so I'm going to have to throw the whole thing out with prejudice and blah blah, or without prejudice, I think is the one where you can go back after you get your ducks in a row. But you took the day off of work and you got down there and you waited in the line and you're on the docket, but it takes 4 hours to be seen, and you get up there and there's one little thing that's not done right, and so your whole case is moot. So yeah, she signs a document saying that she's going to let him kick the football, and then he goes to kick the football, she pulls it out, and then she looks at the document, she goes, oh, funny thing about this document, it doesn't appear to be notarized, and that's her reason for letting him fall flat on his ass again. And I thought that was an interesting thing, and I wonder, in the social construct in what's happening in 1966, I wonder where that legal kind of joke came from.
Or it's Shells growing an axe with his latest contract with King Features.
Could be, very very much could be.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. Maybe that is the secret origin of the football. Lucy's always been King Features, and the football's always been the money.
No. So Lucy first pulled the football away from Charlie Brown in November 16th, 1952 on the Sunday comic. The football gag actually developed, it made Lucy kind of into the character she's in, but she wasn't the first one to do it. The very first time we saw it, it was Violet who pulled the football away. And the first time that Lucy did it, she wasn't doing it maliciously. She was doing it because it was her brand new football and Charlie Brown's shoes were dirty. And so she didn't want him getting her football dirty with his shoes. So she yanked the football, and then everybody loved it so much that it became this running gag. But the first time it was Violet. The second time Lucy did it the second time. And when Lucy did it, she wasn't doing it to be mean. And then she started getting meaner and meaner with the joke after that.
Wow, that's interesting. Because the way that the football scene is set up here, it feels like, oh, we know this is going to mean something. Let's introduce the football gag, which, and I guess because the other one is Christmas, right? There isn't really room for the football gag in a Christmas special, so
it's snowing outside. Where are you gonna?
Yeah, right. So this may have been the first opportunity, at least in animation, to do the football gag because it's weirdly set up.
Oh, we talked about it in the pre-show. Is that which one was it where he went invisible? Oh, it was It's Magic Charlie Brown that he went invisible, that he was actually able. There was one other time that he was able to kick the football, and it was in August 1979. Charlie Brown was in the hospital, and Lucy did one of those, dear God, if you just let Charlie Brown be okay, I swear to God, I swear I will let him kick the football. She let him kick it one time in one special. Oh wait, no, that wasn't even a special. That was a strip.
That was a strip, right? Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's surprising. But yeah, I mean, it was so weird to watch them belabor the football scene, complete with Charlie Brown being like, "No, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this," which is all just set up for the contract. But
But there's also
but again, you can totally see Charles Schulz in the King Features building, like, I'm not going to sign this.
You gotta wonder, the ghost with 100 eyes, right? So that feels very like Fritz Lieber, Fafner and the Grey Mouser, which is a weird sword and sorcery deep cut. But like, is the fact that every house giving ghost with 1,000 eye or 100 eyes like a rock? Is this someone paying tribute to some eldritch entity? If we're going to look at the nuggets of religion here, I will not go one direction, but the opposite direction, and say maybe this entire neighborhood of parents is giving mineral. It's silver. They're paying silver to the Mephistophelian creature from beyond.
I absolutely love that when one of your eldritch things doesn't work out, because you're like, oh shit, the Great Pumpkin never shows up, that you immediately are just like, but wait a second, there's something here.
That's faith, right? That's the whole point of the Schultzian nonsense as it is. It's like we got to believe in something. And for me, Ghost with 100 eyes. That's our new Mephistophelian creature for this time. I think it works. I'm good with it.
One of the things
Ghost with 100 eyes.
that's pointed out in this one that I think is actually really interesting is Linus usually does the whole, it's John 3:16, it's Luke this, it's Matthew this, whatever. In this one, I kind of feel like he's advocating for other religions
Feels that way.
because when he's doing his thing in the beginning and he's saying, listen, man, this is what I do, and Charlie Brown comes in and goes, hey, that's kind of silly. He goes, yeah, as silly as your Santa, right? I feel like this may be one of those religious equality things where he's pointing out, listen, you guys have a God, I have a God. I worship in my way, you worship your way. I'm not messing with your Santa Claus. Leave my great pumpkin alone. I'm sitting there going, hey, wait a second. This was 1966. Was that actually a religious message?
It did very much come across as like I'll view my theology however I wish to view it. Like, by all means, I think you're definitely onto something there, because it comes through. And then it's also like the abandon. I mean, if you want to get even deeper with it, and it could just be projection, but it's like waiting for faith, waiting for a miracle. It never arrives. You're left out in the cold. And then what ends up happening is your fellow man who may not believe in the thing you believe in shows up, and they're actually the one that gets you out of the cold, and like they make sure that you're okay. So they might, and they adamantly don't believe that this entity that you are so devoted to, they have no cause for it or no care for it, and they're still there to back you up. I think it speaks to one of the things I like most about like just the Peanuts, or maybe that we project on the Peanuts because we want to see the betterment of people, is that it's not really about the religious aspect of it. It's really about them taking care of each other, except for Charlie Brown, who everybody kind of hates. But other than that, I think that's what we take away from it.
It's funny that you say that too, because one of my notes here is, when it's like there's two lists, Charlie Brown, you're clearly put on the wrong list if you were invited. It's like Charlie Brown is the glue for this group. Why does he get treated so poorly by everybody else?
Because he's the core. He's the whipping boy, though. Like, if Charlie Brown takes the abuse for everybody else, then they can all be nice to each other because they all pick on Charlie Brown.
Yeah, even the girl with the thing in her hair.
Yeah,
I was surprised how strong she came on against Linus's emerging religion. Like
the girl with the thing in her hair. What are you talking about?
With the little beret or the bow in her hair.
Is that Violet?
Is that Violet's the proto Lucy though, right? With the green dress.
Violet's the other dark-haired girl.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Who like her silhouette's similar to Lucy, but she has the green dress.
She has one. I think Lucy has two, right? She has one in the back of her head.
I think so. Yeah. So that's Violet. So who's the girl with the bow in her hair? The sort of tartan reds and browns kind of bow in her hair. I think her dress matches the bow.
Why can't I remember a character I just saw?
Oh, you're talking about Patty.
No, not Patty. This is different from Patty.
This is not Peppermint
right.
Patty.
Yes, that's
this
right.
Is Patty.
This is Patty. Yeah.
That means that I got this wrong. Okay, so that means that I got this wrong because when I was looking at it, I was thinking that was Peppermint Patty because they said Patty. It's not Peppermint Patty. It's Patty because I'm looking now. She does. She has a tartan shirt and a tartan bow in her hair.
Yeah,
that's Patty. So the characters in this one, the only characters in this one are Charlie Brown, Snoopy, Linus Van Pelt, Lucy Van Pelt, Sally Brown, Schroeder, Pigpen, Shermie. I don't remember seeing Shermie at all. Patty, Frida, and Violet.
Frida?
Yeah, Frida's the red-haired girl. They gave her a name finally.
Oh, the one with the purple scribble dress.
And the beautiful curly hair, right? That's Frida? Okay.
Yeah. I noticed that neither one of you remarked on this beautiful flannel baseball shirt.
Well, it's not really in frame, so Peanuts expert, rise up. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So my family got this for me for my birthday, and the first one they got me because it's flannel. It doesn't fit the way the regular shirts fit. I had to go a size up because I couldn't move my arms, and then I was waiting. This came from Hot Topic, waiting for Hot Topic to send it, and I was like, dude, they just took our money. They're not going to send the shirt. And then a couple days ago, it showed up. So
nice.
Now I need a flannel striped hat to wear with it because all the flannel striped hats that I can find from like Ebbets Field and stuff like that have New York, either the Metropolitans or the Yankees on it, and I don't want that. I just want the flannel hat. If anybody knows where they're at, put it in the show notes. Give us a comment on there to tell me where to buy this hat because I need a hat that matches this.
Hold on, sportsman. Rewind. Learn me something. The is that the Mets? Does Mets mean the Metropolitans? Is that
It
team?
does. So there were 4 teams that originated in New York. There's the Yankees, the Giants, the Metropolitans, and the Dodgers. So what happened was the Yankees and the Giants were the 2 big teams in New York. The Giants left to come to San Francisco, and their hat used to be a stylized NY in orange on a black hat. The Dodgers came in, and then they also left to California. Then there was only the Yankees in New York. They wanted a second baseball team, so they took the Dodger blue and the orange NY off of the Giants hat and put it on a Dodger blue hat, and that's where the Metropolitans got their logo, is the orange NY on a Dodger blue hat.
Nice. And which one of those teams has the most touchdowns?
I'm trying to think of any football players, because in the 80s and 90s, there were a lot of football players that also played baseball. You got Bo Jackson. You don't remember Bo Knows Diddley? Those commercials that came out, and Bo's holding he had the football pads on, but he was holding a baseball bat and had no. Yeah, I don't think there's any.
That's about as far as I get into the sports game. I know Blood Bowl. I'm good. I go with that.
Eric, do you watch baseball at all?
No.
I have a fantastic trivia question that I use when people are like, "Oh, baseball, this, baseball, that, whatever," and I'm in a bar or I'm at like spring training or something like that, and I use it to get free drinks at the bar. There are 3 players that have played for all 4 original New York baseball teams. Only 3 that have played for the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants, and the Dodgers.
I'm not going to be able to answer that.
Okay, well, I'll leave that open. You guys can look it up. It's a fun question. Anyway, so back to the special.
No, tell me the answer. Don't make me look up something. You tell the audience and you tell Anton. What are they?
Well, Darryl Strawberry is one.
Okay.
Vizcaíno is the second one. And then I always forget the third one. Hang on a second. Vizcaíno?
Vizcaíno, okay.
Vizcaíno, and let's see, what was the third one? Hang on. I don't even know my own question right now. Darryl Strawberry, Vizcaíno, and there's one more. Ricky Lede, that's it. Ricky Lede, Jose Vizcaíno, and Darryl Strawberry all played for the 4 teams. And the thing that makes it a trick question is people think when they were in New York. So they go back and they're like, right. But it's that they've played for all 4 teams, not that they played for them in New York. So Darryl Strawberry's played for all 4 teams, Ricky Lede and Vizcaíno. So
which team was Wilmer S. Duggleby on? You know,
is that a real player?
Yeah, Wilmer S. Duggleby, codename Hardball, G.I. Joe. He had the grenade launcher.
Dude, you just made me look something up that's not even real, and I hate
it's real G.I. Joe.
Man, you even got me. I don't recognize the G.I. Joe name.
I was like, wait, Duggleby. I'm like, I should know this now. I do have problems with names right now, and part of that is getting older, and part of that is something else that I've got going on. But like, I sat there, I legitimately thought about it, and I looked it up, and I hate you that you made me do that.
Well, I mean, it sounds like an 1893 baseball player.
That's probably where they got the name from.
Like, it feels
really
real.
Does. Yeah.
His shirt had blue and gray, I think. Like he had the camo pants and like a blue and gray baseball shirt and a blue baseball cap, and he had like a rocket or like a grenade launcher that shot baseballs. And it was it was Hardball, one of the G.I. Joes. Just like they had that boxer guy.
No, there was a carpenter in WWF in the 90s when they had the last baseball strike, and his name was what was it? Oh shoot, I know it's Steve Lombardi. I forget. Oh, the Brooklyn Brawler. Steve Lombardi was the Brooklyn Brawler, and the thing was he was a jobber. Right, and he'd wear the New York Yankees torn up shirt and stuff like that. But he also played like every other role that they needed him to play. He played a handler for Kamala, the Ugandan giant, or whatever. But when the baseball strike was going on, they had his face painted like a baseball, and they called him Abe Knuckleball Schwartz. And he would get in the ring and start yelling at people about the baseball strike and how, baseball players were this and they were that. And we were so right. And you guys are so wrong. And I need my $1 million, whatever. And then he'd get in there and lose a wrestling match and then go back to the back. But he was only there he was maybe there for like 6 months or something like that before they pulled it. But it was a funny character. We should get a picture of Abe Knuckleball Schwartz to put up as a slide, because it's one of those things that WWE did in the 90s there. But anyways, we're here to talk about Peanuts. And the thing is the diatribe at the end that usually comes with these things. With this one, it's kind of funny because the message came a little bit earlier in it, and then it was it was Sally who got really upset. And then there's that line, it's like, you've heard of a woman scorned. Well, how about a woman who's been cheated out of her trick or treats or whatever, right? And then you get this whole just at the end, in the end credits, is when Linus just loses it, and he's just screaming about all the things that make him mad and upset about this whole thing or whatever. Because now they're saying, "Oh, so you don't believe this anymore?" He's like, "No, I believe in it more now, and you guys are the ones that are wrong." And he just goes off for 20 seconds of credits.
It is strange that the special ends with Linus's hardcore faith being put into question, because usually he is the arbiter of morality, and this time around it feels like his morality isn't correct, maybe because he is worshiping an elder being and not the Lord. But
maybe his faith is more emboldened because he feels the draw of the elder creatures in the neighborhood that they live in. That fills him, that impassions him. It's like he got his inspiration die, as it were, and is ready to just really put that faith out there. That little paladin going on a tirade.
So how much psychic damage did he incur?
Well, that's an AoE, man. He probably dropped like 66 plus 6, right? That would make sense. He picked up a level of paladin to his already warlock manifestation that he was running. Like, he's dual classing now. I think it works.
Dual class.
He's dual classing with a blanket player.
Yeah, he's totally a paladin under normal circumstances. So yeah.
I'm just gonna nod, because just like when I'm talking about sports and stuff, and you guys are just kind of doing this is what I'm gonna do. I don't know what a paladin is.
That's kind of why I went in this direction. It's like, well, we had the baseball talk, so now we'll do the RPG talk. Yeah.
I thought of something when you were talking about like his progression through the thing or whatever, but it's his sister that comes and pulls him home, even though she doesn't believe in his religion or whatever. But that's a theme that comes up a lot in a bunch of Christian apologetics, when you sit there and go, well, God didn't, get me groceries. My neighbor realized that we were struggling and brought me groceries. And they go, oh, well, your neighbor is a tool of God, whether they believe in God or not. And so it's one of those things where it's like, his manifestations did sort of come true because a representative of the Great Pumpkin showed up. It was Snoopy. He did make it back to his bed. He was saved by the grace of the Great Pumpkin, but the Great Pumpkin was using tools that don't necessarily fit into the religious mindset that he's got. But it's one of those things where, people say, God uses strange tool, or uses all kinds of people and all kinds of circumstances to achieve their ends or whatever. You can't shake that faith, no matter how you get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
A hellhound with its own biplane and a vindictive witch seem like pretty good avatars or tools of the Great Pumpkin, if you really want to get into it. So
don't
might be right on there, bro. Like, seriously.
That Snoopy, as we determined, I think when we watched Bon Voyage, is either genuinely a World War I vet or a dog who has been possessed by the soul of a World War I vet.
Right.
So,
could be like the haunted tank. So
yeah, he could be like the haunted tank.
Right.
Which we also get more evidence of when we have the scene with Schroeder, where Schroeder starts playing "It's a Long Way to Tipperary," and he's into it. Snoopy's into it, and then he starts playing a sadder song, and Snoopy loses his shit. He has PTSD with this song.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, Snoopy carries that stick around. Like, was that just a thing? Do people just carry pointed sticks around? Because I want to start carrying a stick around, because he uses it to point and to slap people and to like get his on the counter to get people to pay attention to what he's doing or whatever. I want a pointy stick to just carry and poke people with and stuff.
So we were driving back from, it was like a 3-hour road trip to where we went this weekend, and 3 hours back. It would have been weirder if it was like shorter to get back. Anyways. And there were just a lot of these older gentlemen. Like, one of them had a big, like, 10-gallon white cowboy hat, like just a t-shirt and slacks, and was walking with a pointed stick just up the side of the road. And then we saw another old dude with like a pointed stick. So weird that you call that out, because it was like, yeah, I guess maybe in rural areas, because we drove through some rural areas, maybe people just poking bears or dogs or each other. Maybe they duel whenever they cross paths.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like something they could lean on for like support, but it definitely was just like a little pointed stick that they were carrying around.
I think it needs to be a thing. Next time I go to a convention, you see me at a convention, I'm going to be carrying a stick.
A pointed stick. We'll get you a proper military swizzle stick or something, I guess.
Nice. Or what's the one with the little? Is that just an S&M or a BDSM thing where it's got the thing on the end that makes the noise real loud when you slap it
Riding
against
crop?
flesh?
Yeah, riding crop. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it's not.
That's BDSM, but I guess it has its origins in horse riding.
So I want it pointed on one side, and I want that little flappy loud thing on the other side. Can you make that
Flappy
happen?
thing, okay. Yeah, we'll see if we can make that happen. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so this has been Good Grief number 3. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. It's October. We're going to get this one up before Halloween. And then next month, we've got some suggestions. And I think I want to do the You're Not Elected, Charlie Brown. I think that's the next one we should do in November. November 5th is going to be hard for us to get it in before then, but let's get it in the month of November, and we'll do our election thoughts. And actually, we'll have the results of the election so we can tie it
That's
more.
right.
We shouldn't.
Well, in theory, we'll have the election results.
Yeah, theoretically.
That's true.
I mean, I think it's a fun
Sometimes it takes a
suggestion,
minute.
right? Because we'll see how
It
things
is.
crumble or don't crumble, or who knows what'll happen. But
Absolutely. I think that's a great suggestion. Let's do that one for November. But thank you very much for being here. This is Brendan Allen. That's Anton Kromoff and Mr. Erik Amaya. We'll see you next time.